start building your own roadmap to a healthier, happier, more fulfilling financial future for yourself. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Sugar Mama's Fireplay podcast. I am Canna Campbell. Today's podcast is part 2 of my 2-part series, Advice to My Younger Self. If I could go back in time, what would I do more of? What would I do differently? And by making this podcast for you, I guess I want to help you avoid the mistakes I made so that you can learn and grow from what I got wrong, but also from what I got right. So last Monday, I published obviously the first part of this series, and that was all about what I got wrong. What do I regret doing? What did I not do enough of? Where did I just waste very precious time, energy, and money? So I really hope that you enjoyed listening to this podcast, because today I'm going to share with you what I got right. And to be really honest with you, I'm so proud of what I got right. And I think you're going to learn so much from hearing what I have to share, of some of which is incredibly personal. Now, I'm going to talk about particular, I guess, not so much strategies, but particular financial products. Now, I'm not doing this to tell you or advise you to go and take this product out. If you're listening to this and I mention a particular sort of generic type of product and you think, oh, I wonder if I should be having one of those products myself, please note this is not personal advice or product advice. You should go and talk to a financial planner, because some of these, I guess, ideas are quite complex, and it's important, if you do need to take out a product, you take out the right type of product that's appropriate for your situation, your goals, and of course, it's important to you. So please know, no product advice in here whatsoever. I just want to get you thinking, and I want to make sure that you're completely educated and informed. All right, what did I get right? Well, first of all, I got personal insurance right. I've shared with you guys I had some really serious challenges around mental health, particularly when I had my son, Rocco. If you haven't listened to my podcast about mental health and money, please do, because I really go into this in so much detail, because it's something I'm really passionate about. But in my early 20s, I took out life insurance, TPD, income protection, and trauma cover. Now, again, just to reiterate, this is not product advice. I'm sharing this with you so that you understand what these types of products are, and you can decide for yourself if they're appropriate for you after speaking to a financial planner. Now, what is each one? Life cover pays a lump sum to my estate if I was to die. So it would mean that that lump sum can help, I guess, pay out any debt, such as a home loan, and help leave, I should say, my family without too much, or if any, financial stress and worry whatsoever. So, for example, Tom may not necessarily need to worry about a mortgage, it would be covered, and he could focus on just looking after their children and maybe not having to work so hard. I also took out TPD cover. That's total and permanent disablement, which basically means if I was to become disabled and couldn't actually work, and I met the definition of a total and permanent disablement according to an insurance policy, and that's important that you always read the fine print, it would also pay a lump sum. And generally speaking, when it comes to working out TPD, there's no magical number or formula to follow as to how much life cover and TPD cover you should have, but you've got to look at your individual situation. And quite often the cost of being alive is actually more expensive than dying, because if you can't work, you've still got to live. You've still got to pay the rent or pay the mortgage, still put food on the table, clothes on your back, clothes on your family members' back. So TPD, I believe, is very important insurance that should always be covered. So I took life cover, TPD cover. I also took income protection. I feel that this is the most important insurance, personal insurance, that anyone can learn about. Income protection basically pays me up to 75% of my income if I cannot work due to medical reasons, such as an illness or an accident, and it will pay me that percentage of my income until age 65 or until I'm able to return back to work. So what that means is I can still keep my head above water. I can still keep paying my mortgage repayments, my other financial responsibilities, keep looking after my children or paying for help to look after my children, and obviously focus on recovery and rehabilitation. Now, depending on how you structure it, and again, this is not product advice, but there are various different types of income protection. Some may only cover you for a couple of years. Some have different waiting periods, which can range between 14 days, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. It really does vary, and that's why it's so important to go get personal advice from a financial planner. But it gives me huge comfort knowing that if tomorrow I was to be diagnosed with some sort of illness and I needed to take time off work to recover, I can still pay my mortgage. I'm not going to have to sell my home, move my children during a stressful time. And the fourth policy that I took out for myself was trauma cover. Now, trauma cover pays a lump sum in the event of a major medical accident or illness, such as cancer, heart attack, stroke. And it pays a lump sum tax-free. It is similar to income protection in that it's, obviously illness and accident related, but it pays a lump sum rather than an ongoing income or an annuity almost. Trauma pays it as a certain amount that is agreed upon. And it's actually invented by a South African heart surgeon who realized that when his patients came into the hospital, they often left under more stress because they had to go home to catch up on their bills and to return back to work at, crazy hours per week. So trauma cover is really designed to help you make the adjustments to your lifestyle, help take the stress and pressure off your life, and I guess live a better, healthier life, with keeping longevity at the forefront. So I have all 4 policies. Now, why am I so proud that I took these policies? Because I've never claimed on them. Well, a couple of reasons. Number 1, I sleep well at night knowing that my family and myself are protected. I'm never going to be a financial burden to anyone if anything happens to me from a medical point of view. I'm also really proud that I took these policies out early in life because I wouldn't actually qualify for this level of cover today. You see, because I had a really dark period in my life around my mental health, I wouldn't be necessarily insurable today. I would have loadings, I would have exclusions. I would quite possibly be declined. So my insurance policy is really important to me. I'm actually almost paranoid that a direct debit will get missed and somehow my policy might lapse and therefore might cancel. I would never consider cancelling this policy because it's so incredibly important. And yes, there are people in this world who do not need personal insurances. At this stage in my life, I need it, and I will need it for quite some time. I still have a mortgage, I still have financial responsibilities in my life, and I still don't want to be a financial hindrance on anyone around me, especially Tom or anyone in my family. So I'm really proud that I took these policies out. And yes, I could go throughout my life paying all these premiums, and I will admit my premiums have gone up substantially, as has everyone else's due to COVID. And I'm okay with that because I value what it's worth. And, if I think about what I'm insured for and say I'm going to work for the next 20 years of my life, and I say, for simplicity, an average of $100,000 a year in cover of my income protection, and I plan on working another 20 years of my life, that's $2 million worth of protection I've got in place. What I'm paying, I value. And of course, that is factored in my budget. I would never recommend someone goes out and takes a whole pile of excessively expensive insurance policies if, that are going to be detrimental to your financial well-being. You do need to strike that happy medium place where you have the right level of cover that fits within your budget. And again, that's why you need to go and see a financial planner. But it is so valuable to me. And I have to say, when I met Tom, he didn't have any insurances in place. And when we bought our house together, I immediately took out all its insurances on him. And when we had to refinance to buy our new house, we had to change banks. So I had to change, our credit card from the old bank to a new direct debit out of our savings account. And I was so terrified again that would lapse because I value the peace of mind that it brings into my life. And I have to say, if you're thinking about this and you've been putting off for a really long time, I want you to really do something about it. Go and get some advice, because the moment you have to call an ambulance, the moment you wake up and you don't feel well, the moment you get a bad test result from your doctor, the moment your doctor sends you off to see a specialist, it's too late. You can't suddenly pick up the phone and take out personal insurance, because that means you've had a pre-existing condition. And you may not necessarily be insurable, or it may come with exclusions, or you may just simply not be insurable whatsoever. So please don't leave it too late if you know that you do need to look at your personal insurances. In fact, a really good friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, is an oncologist. And I was chatting to her the other day, and she was telling me when she meets with a new patient and she goes through the various questions with them about what support they've got at home and, how their headspace is. And she'll ask them, do you have any personal insurances in place to help you with this? And she said the difference in the mindsets and the attitudes of her patients that say, yes, I took out an income protection policy, which now means I don't need to worry about working, or I can work on a part-time basis, or I have a trauma policy, it's just given me a whole pile of cash to get through this. She said the headspace and attitude and mindset is profoundly different. She said it has a huge difference on how they recover and how quickly they recover. So that is so incredibly important. It's an area I'm really passionate about, making you aware. And I'm actually going to be doing a special podcast with my girlfriend, Dr. Lou, the oncologist, so we can talk about this in more detail. But the best thing I ever did for myself was take out personal insurance. All right, what else did I get right? Well, my superannuation. Again, this is not product advice or strategic advice, but I educated myself around superannuation early in life, in my early 20s. What do I mean by educated myself? Well, I learned about how important superannuation is. I learned about the tax benefits of superannuation. I learned about the limitations of superannuation, how you can't necessarily access it. I learned about the changing annual caps for superannuation. I learned what my risk profile is. I did a risk profile questionnaire and made sure that my superannuation was appropriately invested. Because remember, guys, your superannuation portfolios are actually your investment portfolios. They're just locked away for your long-term benefit, because the government knows that if we have access to that, we will most likely go and spend it, and therefore most likely go and blow it. So I really invested time up front with my superannuation to understand why it's so important, and more importantly, how it works in helping improve my financial well-being, but in particular, how it works improving my financial well-being in powerful combination and positive alignment to other financial wealth accumulation strategies, such as investing. Because remember, with superannuation, as I just said, you can't necessarily access it until you meet a condition of relief. So what I'm trying to say is, don't go and pile necessarily, unless you get personal advice around this, a whole pile of money into superannuation, because you don't want to wake up at age, say, 45 with millions of dollars in super and you can't actually access it. But superannuation, when combined with other strategies where you've had personal advice, can be profoundly powerful in helping you get ahead financially. And of course, along the way, there are some very powerful and very valuable tax benefits within super. For example, the maximum tax rate within superannuation is 15% on income. And if you hold an asset for more than 12 months, you qualify for the CGT discount within super, which can reduce your capital gains tax bill down to as little as 10%. So, of course, you need to be aware of, obviously, contributions, the tax on contributions as money goes in, and the different types of contributions, and the ever-changing caps per financial year on superannuation. But educating myself and understanding how it works with my other financial strategies has been incredibly powerful. And yes, I will admit, particularly when I first set up my business, SAS Financial, over 15 years ago, there were periods of time where I didn't put as much as I would have liked to in superannuation, but there have been times in periods in my life where I've put up to the maximum allowed. And I've also made sure that as I said, I invested that money appropriately. I invested it in alignment to my risk profile, which for me, I'm a high growth investor, which means having a heavier weighting to high growth assets such as international shares, domestic shares, and property. Now, again, that's not advice for you, but I do recommend you get personal advice, but also you go and do a risk profile. And when it comes to consolidating your super, and I will admit my superannuation is consolidated into the one account, but I did research before I moved anything. I checked all the fees, any sort of penalties for moving accounts, any potential insurance policies which were attached to old accounts that I would risk losing. I made sure that I prioritized taking out my insurances before cancelling any old policies, which is really important. You never want to just consolidate all your superannuation accounts and then apply for new insurance and discover that you don't actually qualify for it. You need to do all the research first. And I also made sure that the superannuation account is right for me. It's cost effective. It has a wide range of different assets and investment assets that I can access, not just this generic growth, high growth, balanced, conservative cash. I hate seeing that. I actually have access to a wide range of direct equities, ETFs, listed investment companies, even term deposits if I want, so I can really change my portfolio as I need. And then when I say fees and charges, making sure that they're cost effective, I haven't necessarily gone with the cheapest superannuation account because I believe you pay for what you get. I have made sure that it's cost effective. The total fees are respectable and good value for money in alignment to my financial goals. I also can, if I want to, structure some of my insurances through my superannuation, which I have. And also, I've made sure that my superannuation account has an in-specie transfer service, which is particularly important. And I find that so many people, particularly disturbingly other financial planners, forget to talk about. And I don't understand why this is, but basically an in-specie transfer service allows me to change my account without triggering any capital gains tax. It doesn't actually sell down any assets to move it. So this is particularly valuable, for example, when I one day, hang up my hat and decide to retire, I can shift my superannuation account to a pension account within the same company and facility and account process without triggering any capital gains tax. Now, depending on how much money I have in superannuation when I go to retire, that could potentially save me a couple of $100,000 in tax when I go to retire. And that's the time in my life where a couple of $100,000 is going to be extremely valuable. So if you're looking at your superannuation thinking, oh gosh, my super's all over the place, I don't think it's invested correctly in alignment to my risk profile, which I don't even know what is. I don't know what insurance policies I may or may not have. I may even have duplicates. Please go and get professional financial advice from a financial planner because your superannuation is so important. And I have to say, it takes me minutes to check my superannuation account. And it feels so nice knowing I only need to check one place. It's all there, owns and holds the correct structure of insurance policies through my superannuation. And it's easy for me to quickly see how much I've added, what other caps apply, and how it's all tracking. And as I said, it all contributes to my Mindfull Money number, which is my passive income goal. And then the third thing that I am so proud of that I got right, and that is doing the $1,000 project. When I started the $1,000 project, I was a freshly single mother. I was on a really tight budget. I'd taken out a new mortgage to pay out my ex-husband, and my number one priority was just keeping Rocco and I together, close, head above water, and rebuilding our lives and rebuilding a healthier life. I look back in time and think, oh my gosh, how did I get through that on such a tight budget? But I did, and I also managed to invest. So the $1,000 project is where I wanted to get back into investing but couldn't. So I decided to focus on coming up with $1,000 at a time through saving, through hustling, through doing all sorts of weird and wonderful creative things to save, raise, earn, work, hustle, extra money in my life. And every time I had $1 to $10 to $100 to $1,000, I put into a separate dedicated savings account. And the moment that account balance hit $1,000, I went and invested it. Now today, even with the market pullback, that portfolio is worth over, well over $215,000. It does have a margin loan attached to it, which I'm slowly and steadily paying off. Again, not strategic advice or personal advice to copy me here, but I'm just sharing with you to illustrate the importance of, I guess, cut the crap, stop talking about it, stop thinking about it, just go and do it. And it's so rewarding at the end of each financial year when I get together all my tax statements to give to my accountant and I give him the report on the $1,000 project portfolio and I show him the portfolio made this much, $9,000 this year in passive income and here are all the franking credits and so forth. It is so incredibly satisfying and rewarding knowing that this $9,000 a year, which grows each year because I'm always adding to the portfolio $1,000 at a time, it's growing. And this again contributes to my Mindfull Money number goal, which is for Tom and I to retire one day on $200,000 a year. Yes, it's only just under 5%, but that I've also got my superannuation passive income that I can include in there. Of course, we've got Tom's superannuation passive income we can include there. Tom also has an investment portfolio and I have my other assets as well because it all contributes. So I guess what I'm sharing with you for the $1,000 project is it's an easy way to start investing. It's an easy way to quickly build momentum. It's quite profound, the personal, mental, and financial growth that you go through in doing the $1,000 project. Well, for me, that's what I experienced. I started to look at money in a more meaningful, mindful way. I really cut the wastage in my life, the financial wastage. I really appreciated and respected how all those little things really do add up. And I really, I guess, started to realize that I don't have to be defined. My financial situation doesn't have to be defined by how much money I earn. Because remember, the $1,000 project is about doing things outside of your salary, if you want to bring in and earn extra money. So you can sell things. You might be able to do some babysitting. You might have like a particular skill or hobby that you can outsource and commercialize, such as photography or being a mobile nail salon or a spray tanner. Or you might be able to do some freelancing work in your spare time to earn some extra money. All these little things that you can do to bring in extra money, I guess being part of the gig economy now, they really do add up. And when you proactively put them into a separate dedicated savings account, which stops that money from accidentally being spent, or it quarantines it until you then go and do something with that money towards one of your financial goals, it really does make a huge difference. And yes, I use the $1,000 project to invest, but you can use the $1,000 project to pay off debt, build up your emergency savings, perhaps pay for some, invest in some education for yourself. Perhaps it's to save for the deposit on your first home. It's really your choice when it comes to doing the $1,000 project, but I'm so proud I didn't just talk about it and think about it. I actually did it. I pulled my finger out, I opened up a separate dedicated savings account, and the moment, I hit the ground running, working my backside off, really opening myself up to the flow of money and using this as an opportunity to not just grow financially, but personally, spiritually as well. The moment that account balance hit $1,000, I just simply invested it. So I built up this really healthy momentum in my life where I would just continuously be working on growing my passive income. So these are the three things that I am so proud of. I look back with so much pride, joy, and glee that I did this. I got these three things in my life right. So as you listen to this podcast, I want you to think about your own situation and think, what can I take from this that Canna got right? What is a sign that I need to stop thinking about or talking about and actually start doing it? And put action into place. Cut the crap, get things sorted. Because the moment, even if you make a phone call to see a financial planner, or the moment you call up your superannuation company and ask them a question, or go do a risk profile, or set up a separate dedicated savings account to start your own $1,000 project, the moment you do this, you experience a shift, a breakthrough. You start building your own roadmap to a healthier, happier, more fulfilling financial future for yourself. And I promise you that you will never look back with regret. If you do look back, you'll look back with relief, pride, and gratitude, and a huge amount of self-respect that you actually did something about it. And I guarantee if you do this, you'll start telling other people about what you're doing and inspire other people around you. All right, that is enough for me. I'm slowly getting the hang of bringing these podcasts in under 30 minutes, so I'm really proud of myself. I would greatly appreciate it if you can leave me a rating and a review, and I love hearing your feedback. So let me know what you think of this podcast and all my other podcasts, and if they're helping you in what particular areas you'd like me to really delve in. But to reiterate, nothing in this podcast was personal advice or product advice or strategic advice. I'm just simply sharing with you because I love being transparent, because I want you to realize I'm not sitting on my high horse telling you what to do with your money, but I have skin in the game as well. I know what it's like. I know how frustrating it is. I know how disheartening it can sometimes be. I know also how exhilarating and rewarding and satisfying it is to work on your financial well-being and actually see things work, feel that shift, see that breakthrough. So enough from me. Have a fantastic week ahead. And if you haven't listened to the first podcast on this series, please make sure you do. All right, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll chat with you next Monday on Sugar Mama's Fire Play. Ciao for now.